More from Michael Schellenberger, the investigative journalist that we've mentioned on the show many times, one of those trusted by Elon Musk to report on the Twitter files, along with Matt Taibbi and a few others. Now he and Taibbi collaborating on reporting about intelligence community corruption that dates back to 2016. The story they had out this week, per their sources, is that the Russian collusion investigation that began in 2016 wasn't something that fell into the lap of the intelligence community. They happened upon, as the official story was. George Papadopoulos says something offhanded to an Australian diplomat, and all of a sudden we've got concerns about Russian influence in the Trump campaign and by extension our election. No, in point of fact, it was a false flag operation conceived and orchestrated by the intelligence community from the beginning.
Wasn't it Obama's CIA?
John Brennan.
John Brennan. Well, yeah, that guy.
Yes. And so now we've got more information from them, the next phase of the reporting. And it, by the way, one more thing about what they previously reported we discussed the other day is there's these binders or a binder or binders, plural, not exactly sure, reports that perhaps detail this false flag operation they're reporting on that were in Trump's possession, and that may be the predicate for the FBI's raid of Mar-a-Lago and the whole classified documents imbroglio and criminal indictment. So now, Schellenberger, more information. The story that Putin favored Trump, also invented. He favored Hillary Clinton, and so did the CIA, because the CIA was comfortable with the relationship between Hillary and Putin, not comfortable with the prospect of a relationship between Trump and Putin, because, like Putin just said about Biden recently, I prefer Biden. He's predictable. He's conventional. The same sort of thing. The CIA's assessment was Trump's wild card, unpredictable. We're comfortable with Hillary Clinton. You know, she exists within the parameters of our comfort level. So Schellenberger on with Jesse Waters again last night, talking about a 50-page report that he believes exists at CIA that needs to be released. You know, there is congressional oversight. It doesn't seem like it, but there's congressional oversight of these intel agencies. And so you'd think some House Republican, or Republicans, plural, may start helping to amplify Schellenberger's call for the release of these reports.
Well, I think some people wonder if this is old news or maybe if this has been reported. I want to assure you that it has not been reported until now. I can also assure you that there are current members of the House Intelligence Committee that are unaware of a 50-page report that the CIA is currently hiding at its headquarters. There may be other copies elsewhere, but there is a top-secret copy at the CIA proving without a doubt, according to our sources, which are multiple credible sources, that Russia, in fact, favored Hillary Clinton, not Donald Trump, in 2016, that they used the Steele memo, the infamous political document commissioned by the Hillary Clinton campaign, to cook the intelligence, as they said, for the early January 2017 intelligence community assessment claiming that the Russians favored Trump falsely, that relied on the Steele memo. That 50-page report continues to exist. It likely exists with the other intelligence information, including potentially raw intelligence documents, showing that the evidence was very strongly on the side, the best evidence was on the side that the Russians favored Clinton for the continuity and stability, that they were concerned about Trump for being erratic and being an unknown quantity, and that the quality of the evidence that contradicted that was much lower, and that Brennan's people manipulated the sourcing, so to speak, the quality ranking given to the sources to come up with really the opposite outcome of what the truth was.
You know what a sick, conniving, treacherous quisling Brennan is. Not only did they do that behind closed doors, reportedly, but then he spent 3 years on MSNBC waving the American flag and accusing Trump of being a Manchurian candidate for the Russians and so on and so forth. What a disgusting, despicable individual. And we're talking about the CIA director, for goodness sakes.
No morals.
Schellenberger, just to put a fine point on it, we've got two, keep your scorecards at the ready at home, two separate intelligence community political scandals that are being reported on by Schellenberger and his colleague.
Yeah, that's right. There's actually two separate intelligence scandals here for people to keep in mind. The first one happened earlier in 2016, where our sources, multiple sources, tell us that Brennan oversaw manipulation of our foreign allies to basically entrap Trump associates to create the pretext for the FBI investigation of Trump supposed alleged collusion with Russia, which we now know is debunked. The second thing is, almost a year later, Brennan orchestrates a phony intelligence assessment that comes to the opposite conclusion of what their own raw intelligence, their best intelligence, was showing. These are two massive, massive intelligence scandals. What we're witnessing is the political corruption of both intelligence gathering and intelligence analysis by John Brennan. And these documents, we have been told by multiple people, still exist. They're at the CIA. They need to be released. They're probably part of this larger binder, which may have the other documents to support both the evidence of both of these scandals.
One more piece to this, because the timing of this Mike Turner, congressman who's the chairman of the House Intel Committee you just mentioned, the Republicans on the committee you just heard, Schellenberger, that don't know about this, well, they should know about it, and they should be calling for its release. They should be demanding answers. I assume that's going to be coming forthwith, or some explanation for why it's not, if it doesn't happen. The Mike Turner call about this new security threat, the Russian efforts to nuclearize space. This is something that we're unaware of? It doesn't sound like it. And the timing of this against the backdrop of the push for another $60 billion to Ukraine, the push for renewal of Section 702 of FISA. So there were two DOD eggheads brought before a congressional committee yesterday and asked about this by Matt Gaetz. Take a listen to these exchanges by, the actual, practitioners, the experts in this space when it comes to space and Russia and China and, in other words, America's primary enemies.
As in terms of efficacy, broadly, can you say to the American people?
Yes.
We have okay, great. And same question to you, Ms. Xu. You are the Undersecretary for Research and Engineering. Can you give the American people comfort that we are researching and engineering things that will stop Russia from deploying a nuclear weapon in space?
I would say we are working on, across the spectrum, a lot of technology that can counter our adversaries at the unclassified level. I would love to get into a skiff with you to talk about some of the capability that we're developing.
Yeah, but it's just as Dr. LaPlante talked about the focus, what I glean from your response, though we can't get into the specifics, is this isn't some surprise to us. We aren't shocked to learn it, that we have a real research and engineering focus to deter and deprive access of Russia to the space domain for any sort of nuclear deployment, right?
This is hard to talk in an unclassified environment, but like I said, I will happy to get into skiff with you anytime you want.
Well, I appreciate that. I also appreciate your smiling and delightful demeanor. And if this were all terrifying and driving us to the brink, my sense is the manner in which we're able to have this conversation might be somewhat different.
For more on all this, we're pleased to be joined by retired Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaffer, president of Project Sentinel and London Center for Policy Research, author of Operation Darkheart, Spycraft and Special Ops on the Front Lines of Afghanistan and the Path to Victory. Lieutenant Colonel Schaffer, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Good to be here with you guys.
So, what's your reaction to the reporting by Michael Schellenberger this week?
So this is not new. I mean, I know he's saying his stuff is new, and the factual part is, but I said this on, I think it was March 6th or 7th of 2017. Where I went on Fox News and said this was Soviet-level wrongdoing. I outlined in that interview with Ed Henry what we'd come to find, and what we've come to find is what I said in that interview. You guys can go check the tapes. I appreciate their diligence because this fills in everything we needed to know about how deep it was.
Yeah, but how many years ago?
But also we it's the old we need the receipts. And so these reports that document for example, Brennan's skullduggery, they need to come to light. I mean, because otherwise it's you're going to get the misinformation by the DC press corps, the comm shop for Brennan and the rest of these deep staters that will obfuscate the issue.
No doubt, and we do, and I hope they do get it all out because John Brennan is pure evil. I was at MSNBC one day, and the makeup person told me that she had done John Brennan's makeup the day before, and I said, "What was it like to touch his face?" And she said it was touching pure evil.
Oh my!
Brennan is evil. No, I swear to God. And then I know Jim Clapper. Jim Clapper if Jim Clapper would sell his mom for a bag of Doritos and a chance of being promoted. So these people have no ethics. And yeah, it was apparent to us who were they're advising. I was part of the Mike Flynn constellation that were going to go in. I was actually advising Chairman of the Joint Chiefs Joe Dunford, and Mark Milley, another name. So we were all there watching this stuff, and it was really fascinating to see how people like Steve Halper was actually a Pentagon guy working at Net Assessment. So we were trying to figure out the scope of it. We knew it was there, but we couldn't define it because it was so well organized and hidden within the context of official Washington. To your point, yeah, we've got to get all the receipts out. We've got to go through this and examine it. And I'd like to believe Trump's going to use this as a roadmap to conduct, I would just say, surgery. You've got to go in and cut out all the people who were involved in this and permanently remove them from any way of having influence or a position in federal government in the future.
Well, what about them going to jail, like actually paying for their
I
crimes
agree with
that they
that.
committed?
Well, I'm for that. I mean, look, Brennan and Clapper in particular violated multiple laws relating to espionage. I mean, just because you go to the British and say, oh, go spy on these Americans doesn't make it legal. It's an illegal directive misusing intelligence community assets. So, yes, I agree. And this is something that I actually believe that hopefully, again, Trump will do. Is that not only should they actually go through and remove people, those who were the actual linchpins need to be prosecuted. And I'll say this, not everybody who was spying on Americans knew they were spying illegally. I'm just saying that the abuse was so bad, people were taking things, tasking on the face of it, saying, oh, I got to go check on this, not necessarily knowing that they were doing something illegal. But the people above them did know it's illegal, and those indeed who did know it was illegal need to go to jail.
Yeah, that's what we want. Of course, we want the shot callers, right?
Right. Absolutely.
So what about the Mike Turner call this week? And I mean, I don't want to be conspiratorial, but it's legitimate to ask questions, particularly when you're hearing from DOD officials that, yeah, we're on this job. So I don't, basically without saying it, they're basically saying, yeah, it's not a surprise. We know about this. I think they're members of the House Intel Committee, Senate. I think Rubio issued a statement, too, that they're apprised of this. So why now Mike Turner feels the need for more public disclosure on something that DOD is on, as well as the respective House and Senate committees?
I think you guys have got the right instincts. It's trying to throw people off or create a crisis where there's not one. So let me be very clear on this as well. I used to sit on something called the Nuclear Strategy Forum. I sat on that back in the early 2000s, and we knew about all this. This is not new. I've got I had a gamma clearance, so I have to be careful about what I actually know and what I can talk about. But suffice it to say that since 1970, into the Cold War and into the 2000s, there's been concerns about the potential of first strike weapons. That's the kind of colloquial term, which would be, missiles that are shot into orbit, sitting there, loitering, ready to use missiles. Or the other category are electromagnetic pulse weapons, EMP. Your audience can Google something called Starfish Prime. Starfish Prime was a high-altitude experiment using a nuclear device in Hawaii back in 1962 and took out the power grid in Hawaii. So it's a 62. So I'm just saying that's the other area we're concerned about is a high altitude nuclear burst that takes out all of our comms. So this is not new. We've known about this. We study it. And to that, the to the credit of that one DOD woman who was talking about all the advanced technology, we've been working on advanced technology in this for a while. So Mike Turner's like, oh, we've got to worry about this. Like, dude, we've been worried about this. If you want to take that money you're about to throw to Ukraine, yeah, throw it to DOD so DOD can do extended research on this. That's what I would do.
Well, so I mean, well, that was the next question, of course. Is so then your viewpoint on the $60 billion that the sort of the bipartisan combine, to borrow from John Cass, in D.C. is pushing.
The $60 billion would be adding to what we've already spent, which is about $300 billion. If you add up what we spent before, the $113 billion, and all we're going to do is fund the continued path to defeat. I don't care which side you're on of the military conflict. I always get accused of being pro-Russian, and I'm not. But even if I was, the simple application of more funding to a failed strategy, because there is no strategy, a system that is not going to be able to absorb that income in any way to actually translate that into military operations that achieve victory, is wasted. Syrskyi, General Syrskyi, who just took over from Zaluzhny over the past 3 days, suffered the greatest and most catastrophic loss of Ukrainian army life his second day on the job. They lost like 4 battalions that were staging up near one of the front areas, and the Russians wiped them out. So my point is, no matter which side you're on, giving more money to an effort that's going to fail makes no sense at all. And the Speaker of the House, Johnson, said rightly, show me a strategy, give me money for the border, and I'll think about it. And I think that continues to be the right answer.
He is retired Lieutenant Colonel Tony Schaffer, president at Project Sentinel and London Center for Policy Research, author of Operation Dark Heart, Spycraft and Special Ops on the Front Lines of Afghanistan and the Path to Victory. Lieutenant Colonel Schaffer, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hi, this is Scott Trout of Cordell & Cordell. There are a lot of great dads out there. Sometimes those dads get divorced. For more than 30 years, we have represented men in divorce, confronting the pitfalls that could devastate your finances or harm your family relationships. While every situation is different, our goal is to get the best outcome for you and your kids. Visit